tell you their stuff unless they know you really well and they have a good reason. A traditional word is his, her, bond, so focus on words rather than body language or inferences. They don't like body language and suggestions. They want you to tell them straight out what you mean. Say what you mean. And they'll say what you mean, young fellas. They want face-to-face or written communication. That's changing. My dad's great at it. They're the show me generation, so use lots of body language. Ooh, we changed, right? Look at me, body language, see? Speak in an open, direct style, but avoid using telling language. Don't tell me what to do, right? You know, how many boomers here would say that? Don't you tell me what to do? You know, we were very, very sort of confrontational, us boomers. Answer questions completely and be ready to provide more details when asked. We'll try to trick you up. You give me sort of some cursory information, we're going to say, okay, what year? Or how big was it? How many square feet are we talking about here? We're very, very specific. We want to make sure you know the answer, so we'll try to trip you up to make sure you're not just trying to trick us with your little bit of knowledge. And provide options. I'd always say, and when I read this stuff, I was thinking, it's so me, because when anybody ever came into my office and said, I don't like something, I would say, really? Okay, well that's great. Probably a lot of people don't like it. What's the alternative? Don't tell me you don't know what the alternative is. And I would tell them, when you come into my office and tell me you want something changed, tell me what you want it changed to. I want you to do some of your own thinking, right? And Generation Ys are actually pretty good at that. I'll say, okay, you've lodged your complaint or you've made your suggestion, now go back and get together with other people if you have to, or come up with yourself, come up with a reasonable alternative so that we can discuss that. And Generation Y is more likely to do that for you than Generation X, because they will become confrontational. Boomers will fight with you, right? Gen Y will actually go off and come up with an alternative. It might not work, but at least they're thinking about it. So, again, work with them. Generation X, use email as a primary communication tool. They invented it. Generation X invented all the tools you use on computers now. Keep your conversation in short sound bites in order to hold their attention. They don't have much time for you. Just get it out quickly. They don't want a long conversation. Ask for their feedback and offer feedback on their comments. Keep them in the loop. Whenever you're doing something with the Gen X, if they've assigned a project to you or you've assigned one to them, keep talking to them all the way through the project. They don't like being left out of the loop. They invented that term too. Keep me in the loop. It's a Gen X term. Use an informal communication style. They don't like big, long, big, wordy sentences. They just want to hear it straight out, quickly, simply, let's move on. Right? Generation Y. Challenge them to action. Encourage them. Don't tell them what to do. Say, you know, it would be really great if you could do this. And it would really look good on your resume if you did that. Encourage them. And when they've done it, say, great. Don't talk down to them. Their parents have been talking to them like adults all their lives. You know how many Generation Y kids call their parents by their first names, right? They come out of the womb 30 years old in their minds. And their parents encouraged it. So don't talk down to them. Don't treat them like kids. Don't brag about how, you know, one day you'll get by. If they're your employees, you can't do that. They will revolt against you, perhaps. In the workplace, use email as the primary communication tool. Now, we talked about that this morning. If the email is not responded to, get in their face. Go and see them and say, I sent you the email because I know that's your preferred style of communication, but you're not responding to it, so what's the answer? Right? Let's deal with this. And they will respond to that because they got acknowledgement and communication, right? Seek feedback and provide feedback. Ask them how they're doing and then tell them how you perceive how well they're doing. They want that. If you let them work in isolation, they won't like it. They want you to say, because their parents always encourage them, right? The school teachers always encourage them. They get all this feedback and all this positive vibration coming their way all the time. They want it from you as well. Use humor and don't be too serious. Use as much humor as you can because it lightens it. If you come across as a hard-nosed boomer, they won't like that. they will have trouble getting along with that. If you joke about something that's happening, they'll say, okay, this is just like Dad. Dad makes a joke out of it, right? So that will help you with your communication. I'm not saying you're going to like doing all this stuff. I'm not saying it's going to come easy. I'm not saying you should even agree with it. I'm just telling you that people who work successfully with young people, like the Earls of the world, like the Kegs of the world, all the restaurant chains are really good at this stuff. If you treat them that way, you're going to get more success, and your life will be easier.